Hey minions, welcome to Crank It Up. I'm Jim Price, and on this episode of Faction Factory, I want to talk about the Insane Titan faction by Pjupe, which I probably butchered, and I'm sorry. This faction is inspired by, but is not meant to be, a Thanos faction, which is why it's called Insane Titan. But let's be real, this is the Thanos faction. We've had some incredibly thematic choices in the submission process, and it would be easy to take Thanos based on theme alone. After all, Thanos does so much for the channel and for the universe itself. It's also easy to think that Toby sent this in just to spite me, which he probably did because that's something he would do. But the truth is, I often look for factions that have a clear endgame, and this faction takes it quite literally. When the Insane Titan was first presented, the first thing I did was laugh hysterically. This is built on a card called Snap Your Fingers, which randomly removed half of all minions from the game if you had the Infinity Gauntlet and the 6 stones, which was brilliantly clever and highly thematic. But it was also logistically a nightmare. You were removing minions from everywhere and putting them back in the box, and it was hard to tell who came from where. I decided to accept the faction but suggested that the card, now renamed You Should Have Gone for the Head, aka the Snap, do what it really does, give you an instant victory. Because Thanos did win, and the heroes had to cheat in order to beat him. As I mentioned Wednesday, I like alternate win conditions. I think they are good to have in moderation, but are hard to design. They should be difficult, but plausible, and I think that the conditions set by You Should Have Gone for the Head fit that criteria. Working backwards, you win the game instantly. Score no longer matters, but to do that, you need at least 8 cards in play. You need a minion to perform the snap, the gem holding device, and the 6 gems. That is really hard to do. Not only do you have to draw them, but you have to play them, which is difficult itself. Each of the 6 gems has roughly the same structure. First, you can only play the gem on a minion of power 5 or higher. Most factions only have one such candidate, so you have 2 total choices most likely. But each minion can only have 1 gem, because these are powerful gems, and ordinary mortals cannot wield them easily. So even if you did manage to place one, you cannot place the other on the same minion without the gem holding device. I'm not the biggest fan of using the mechanism of discarding from play, but it works here. Even if you have the gem holding device, you still need 5 power to receive the gems, so the 2 goals are in effect at all times. This makes the odds of getting all 8 cards very difficult, but still plausible. The gems themselves are very powerful, which I'm okay with because they are so difficult to place. The Black Order themselves are a group of vigilante-style 4s, but this faction has no power boosts to make it easier to place the gems. Ironically, Toby hated the Werewolf Titan, but designed the faction with very powerful talents that the Werewolf Titan would love. The Gem of Destruction can destroy a card here. This is powerful and flexible, as it can remove anything that is not a play on minion action. Minions and play on base actions are cards, and they're here, as well as buried cards and titans, which are also cards. The Gem of Illusions focuses on ability cancellation or immunity. You have a choice. You can choose any number of cards on the current base to not be affected by any abilities until the start of your next turn, or you can choose 1 card to cancel all of its abilities and reduce its power to 0 until the start of your next turn. This can be a stall tactic, functioning like a more potent pin, or it can provide a shield for numerous cards, which is helpful against antagonistic factions and some pretty brutal bases. The Gem of Intelligence is your own personal copycat. You can use the ability of another minion, as if you played a copycat that can target any minion, not just that of other players. Or you can take control of a local minion of power 4 or less until the end of the turn. This could be good for swinging a base or utilizing a faction like the Kitty Cats, but the flexibility to use the power of any minion is the gem's true power in my opinion. The Gem of Past and Future rewinds time to set the future accordingly. You can either place another player's card on this base on top of its owner's deck, or you can place a card from any player's discard pile on top of its owner's deck. Like the Gem of Destruction, the first ability can target titans as well. It won't go to the top of the deck, but it would still be removed from play. Because of the ability to recur your own cards once per turn, it's important to note that many of the Insane Titan's powerful cards remove themselves from the game by putting them back in the box, preventing the Gem of Past and Future from making the snap too easy. Fine, I'll do it myself can search your deck for either the Insane Titan, the candidate most likely to cause the snap, or the gem holding device, which is explicitly required by You Should Have Gone for the Head. Similarly, I'm Sorry Little One can destroy one of your Power 4 minions to search your deck or discard pile for a gem action and place it into your hand. Both of those cards go back in the box as well, and it's important to note that I'm Sorry Little One requires the minion to actually be destroyed, as the destruction is linked to the search. The ability to search for 2 of the 8 cards you need really speeds up the process along, but the faction cleverly prevents the Gem of Past and Future from making the future arrive a bit too early. The Gem of Spirits allows you to shuffle any number of minions from a player's discard pile into their deck. This is deceptively powerful, as you can get back just your powerful minions, or you can shuffle in a player's worst minions to really slow them down. After a player has played their worst minions, they expect to have a thin deck with only their best. To disrupt this is really potent, and I've been burned by it on many occasions. The final gem is probably the most powerful, and that is the Gem of Transportation. The Gem of Transportation can move the holder and any number of other minions from here to another base. Mass movement is very powerful and extremely ninja base friendly, while also forcing a player into an extreme overpayment. But perhaps this card is too powerful when combined with the Insane Titan himself. The Insane Titan can transfer an action from one of your minions to himself, collecting the gems and the gem holding device to assemble them onto a single minion. But the special is really powerful, as you can use the talent of one of your gems before the Titan's base is scoring. Without a specific counter, the Insane Titan can use the Gem of Transportation and move nearly everyone off the base, leaving one of your minions to get in a base solo. And this is repeatable indefinitely, as long as the next base doesn't have a low enough breakpoint to break. This will have to change, but I didn't notice it until late in the process, and the point was to show off creativity, and the idea of You Should Have Gone for the Head is one of the most creative things I've seen in Smash Up. But you may not be able to do the snap, and you still need to compete regularly. That's where the Black Order comes in, with 4 vigilante-style minions that have powerful abilities, but still cannot wield the gems. Like many of the gems, they are heavily influenced by the ore mechanic, making them Spirit of the Forest friendly, as well as having powerful talents, making them werewolf friendly. Corvus Glaive, the Child of Infiltration, can cancel the ability of an opponent's card until the start of your next turn. Alternatively, you can make it an operative, revealing the top card of each player's deck and deciding whether or not it goes to the top or bottom. This can both speed up your gem acquisition and slow down opponents at the same time, and it's a good fit for the faction. Cull Obsidian is the Titan's Child of Power, and this is a very clean, natural ability. Depending on how powerful the Child of Power is, you can either decrease a base's breakpoint by that power until the end of the turn so that you can break it, or increase the breakpoint until the start of your turn so that I can't break it, hopefully. This is extremely important, as it helps buy another turn and prevents the Child of Power from contributing to power creep, but it also helps speed up what is a slow faction in their normal operation. Ebony Maw is the Child of Mine, with another interesting choice. You can either shuffle an action back into your deck, or steal a random action from someone else's hand, while also gaining information about their hand. Ebony Maw's ability highlights the need for the self-sacrificial cards that put themselves back in the box, as it makes it too easy to keep grabbing your gems. The last member of the Black Order is Proxima Midnight, the Child of Skill. She can either destroy a minion of printed power 2 or less, aka a Doppel, or move one of your minions of power 4 or less to another base. That movement is very useful, as it can consolidate power on a current base, spread out to slow the game down, or enable an ugly monster play. The ugly monster play is the fixed version of Gnome, a card that Toby and I both find underwhelming because you need to have more minions, and the ugly monster cracks this. However, as the beasts are mindless, their destruction is obligatory, making it harder to play. If you're not careful, the ugly monster may be forced to destroy itself, like the Microbot guard. That makes We Have Blood to Spare a potentially powerful card, but one that has to be used appropriately. This card allows you to search your deck for a minion of power 3 or less, which for the Insane Titan faction can only be an ugly monster, and place it into your hand. You can play any number of minions with the same name, like Teleport Overflow. Depending on your minion quantity, this can be a powerful attack that destroys many minions, but You could also play them on separate bases, which can avoid the ugly monster obligatory destruction. But who cares about smashing bases when you can snap your fingers? While there are some good partners that jump off the page, I wanted to focus on you should have gone for the head and talk about the odds of this happening. I think that a good alternate victory condition should be difficult but plausible, and I actually believe this can happen. There are some good candidates for it, but I think that one of them is truly perfect for it, and I'm calling shenanigans because of course Toby would look to his own people for the answer, the Germans. I think the Grimms are uniquely positioned to pull this off successfully, so much so that I'm literally leaving for Hawaii in less than 12 hours and I still have next week's videos to edit, and I'm sitting here debating whether to actually try to prove this today. The two problems working against the snap are that you have to have the specific cards in hand and you need the action plays to get them into play. And because Thanos is standing there as a massive target, players will try to pile onto his base. And this faction has no card draw and very few extra plays to establish their engine. But the Grimm can solve both of these problems. First, you have Rumpelstiltskin, who can search for any card, which really helps acquire the gems. You also have Fairy Godmother's Blessing to search for Thanos, and Basket of Goodies to search for a gem. If you already have Thanos, you can search for Rumpelstiltskin, who can search for a future action on a turn. But what turns this into an engine is the Gem of Intelligence. Because you can use the ability of another minion, you can use Rumpelstiltskin's ability to search for a gem and put it on top of your deck. The Gem of Past and Future could recycle Rumpelstiltskin, but it doesn't make sense to play Rumpel and use the Gem of Intelligence on the same turn, as the second would shuffle in the first. But instead, the Gem of Past and Future can combine with the Gem of Destruction to remove 2 cards per turn. To help play the gems, you have the extra actions from Charming Princess. The way I interpret Gem of Intelligence is that it would work like Copycat. To use that on Charming Princess is to have Thanos check for Prince Charming on his base, so if you had Grimm's Blessing on the same base, or if Charming Princess and Grimm's Blessing were on Thanos' base, you could use that to play a third action. So each turn you are searching for a gem you need and using your extra actions to play all of them. Even if the Gem of Transportation was nerfed so that only the wielder move, you could have Thanos continually avoid the bases it breaks, because who cares about points when you can remake the universe in your image? I think the Grimms are uniquely positioned for the extra actions and have the searching necessary to pull off the snap, and I'm really excited by that possibility. Of course, including such a faction means that you have to check every new faction against an easy snap, but if you're going to take a risk with the design space, it may as well be a tremendous one and do something really exciting. You should have gone for the head perfectly captures the idea of an instant victory, and like Checkmate, would be an awesome thing to say to end the game. I think it's great that all players can see it coming, but I would like to see the Gem of Transportation toned down to prevent Thanos from moving everyone off the base. There's no denying that this is a clever tribute to our channel's benefactor, and is certainly a unique experiment for the game. What do you think of alternate win conditions, and the idea of the snap? Are there any pairings that you think can pull it off? Let me know in the comments. This marks the end of Custom Faction Month. I want to thank everyone involved for making it successful and for celebrating each other. I do want to continue showcasing custom factions. Obviously not at the same pace because these videos take significantly more work than normal programming, but Crank It Up exists to serve the community, and my goal was to make this month be a reflection of that. I sincerely hope that you enjoyed this month's detour, and I'm really excited to begin Phase 2. There's a new Smash Up series planned for Mondays and Fridays, and we have more things that we'll be rolling out in the coming months. There will be a few surprises as well. I hope that you will enjoy what we have to offer. Thanks so much for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. Let's shut it down.